Morning, Dave. How are you?
Morning, thank you. I'm great.
Good man. Dave, welcome to the Business Spotlight. Thanks very much for coming along. So, could we start? Could you tell me a little about yourself and your business, please?
Yeah, so I'm Dave from Central Belfast Apartments. We're an Airbnb management company based in Belfast. So we work with property investors who want to make money from Airbnb but don't have the time or the expertise. I also coach people on how to get started in Airbnb. And I'm an author of my latest book, Short-Term Rental Revolution, got to #1 on Amazon. So really happy with that.
So, how did you get into that, Dave? I mean, Airbnb is relatively new. How was it something that you got into?
It is. I got into it about 15 years ago, which is long before Airbnb even existed. I was really lucky that my mum and dad had a property in Belfast when I was sort of growing up, and they were running it as a holiday let, which is what it was called back then. And I just sort of learned the ropes through them, cleaning, meeting guests, and sort of just observing from the outside. And in 2014, I took the plunge, got my first property myself, and just really got the bug from it. I loved meeting guests. I loved promoting Belfast. Belfast was a very different city 15 years ago, and our growth as a business has gone along with Belfast's growth as a destination. So yeah, I just love showcasing the city, bringing people in, and changing the perceptions of our city here.
No, that's great to hear. And as a Belfast man myself, yeah, absolutely, I've seen the city grow. Certainly back from when I were a lad, that's for sure. And was there a particular spark, Dave, that made you launch the business?
I think there was a couple of things. So I'd always wanted to run my own business. I didn't really know what that was going to be, but I sort of had that entrepreneurial spirit. I was a bit of a crap employee, to be honest. I was always thinking I can do things better and I want to make the decisions. Why do we do things this way? So when I got the opportunity to start that one, it was really just going to be like a wee side hustle thing. But when you start earning that real money that you've created out of thin air, like you get the bug for it, you get hooked on it. So I can honestly say I'll never go back to full-time work again. Yeah, so I just love it. I love the whole thing, being your own boss, deciding the direction that everything goes in, making the decisions. So yeah, it's been great.
And Dave, what type of person or business would benefit most from working with you or working with your business?
So there's a couple of different ones. Obviously, our main, we have clients, so the property owners who, there's a lot of squeeze going on, standard sort of buy to let investors at the minute. The direction of travel with legislation is in a way that a lot of investors aren't really appreciating. And there's, to really maximize a property's financial opportunity, serviced accommodation or Airbnb, there's nothing like it. So we can sort of turbocharge a property's earning potential. So for sure, anyone with property who wants to get the most income from it should definitely be working with us if they're in Belfast or have a really good property. Yeah.
And what would you say has been the most significant lesson that you've learned as a business owner so far?
Right from the start, I wanted to be sort of the best, do things the right way, best practice, going for the highest standard possible in terms of properties. And I've stuck with that the whole way through. So we now manage over 75 units. And we get inquiries all the time from property owners who want to give us their properties for us to manage. And in all honesty, I turn away probably about 95% of them because, in my opinion, they're not right. They're not good enough. And there are lots of very substandard Airbnbs out there. And I think anyone who's trying to just make a quick buck and try and cheat the system, it doesn't work in Airbnb because you've got real people coming to stay in them on their holidays. And, if it's not good enough, they're going to leave you bad reviews and it's all going to end in tears. So add to that, when you have better properties, you can charge higher nightly rates. You've got better guests. It's an easier business to be in. So I think, one of the biggest lessons is having high standards and sticking to those, and not to get desperate and just chase money, because you can go down a rabbit hole there and end up, with more problems. So yeah, be selective with who you work with. Try and go for that best practice, and you sleep easier at night.
No, that's a great share. And is there anyone in particular in business that has influenced you, or that you've seen as a role model or mentor at all over the years?
I've never met this person, but certainly I've admired him from the minute I started, and it's Bill Woolsey. So from the Biancourt Group, the merchant, and like what a businessman. I'm talking about how I started back in 15 years ago. Like he's been going a lot longer than me. He's so inspirational. The foresight he has, the gamble he took on the merchant back then, I'm sure was insane. But it's worked out for him. And talking about going for the higher level, there's no higher level than the merchant in Belfast. So yeah, for sure, he's a Belfast giant of hospitality.
Fantastic. Yeah, great example. And what would you say, what's been one of the toughest obstacles that you've had to overcome in your business journey so far?
COVID, no doubt. I think, like, is anyone on your podcast going to say anything else? COVID for sure. Working in the tourism and hospitality space, those first few weeks of March 2020 were for sure some of the worst of my life. We had hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of non-refundable bookings, money in the bank, and just cancellations across the board. Hundreds of emails coming in, all cancellations, all had to be refunded. Those were some dark days. We had difficult conversations with our property owner clients who were sort of asking, where's our money going to be coming from over the next while? No one knew where we were, what the direction of travel was, how bad it was going to be, how long it was going to last. But I think with any sort of business owner, we could try and turn a crisis into something to learn from. And I certainly learned a lot about myself, my own resilience, my own ability to deal with those darkest days. And a lot of good came from that from our business. We invested wisely with our bounce back loan. We came out of the other side of the pandemic in a hugely stronger position than we went in. I thought I was doing well before COVID, but you really have to scrutinize and look at what you're doing and reevaluate. You've got a lot of time. We all had a lot of downtime then. And certainly I decided I was going to stop focusing on what I couldn't control, which was lockdowns and when are we allowed to bring guests back, and focus on what I could control, which was my own mindset, our branding, our messaging, my goals. So I'm not saying it was a good thing to happen. I don't know if you give me a crystal ball, would I wish for it to happen? But certainly we're in a much, much stronger position. But those were some dark days for sure.
And as we've emerged from the shadow of COVID, what is it today that really motivates you and drives your passion for your business?
So I love Belfast, right? I love this city. It does not get the recognition it deserves. We are small, but we pack a punch here. And, it's my passion. I want to make this city one of the hottest cities in the world to visit. And, we're getting there. We didn't have a tourism industry for 30 odd years because of the troubles. The other cities like Dublin, Edinburgh, London, Liverpool, Manchester, they all pushed on ahead. And you look at where they are now, we're catching up. We're growing faster than any of them. If you look at my socials, you'll see I'm out showcasing bars, restaurants, things to do, everything I can do to try and drive traffic into this city, drive visitor numbers, because the fact of the matter is, when someone comes here for the first time, they are blown away by what we have in this city. And they then become our biggest ambassadors because they go home and tell everyone, oh my God, that city was amazing. I was not expecting it to be so good. So I love that. And I want to keep growing this city, keep being part of its growth, and just make it a better city for my kids to grow up in.
Superb. And look, if you could go back in time and speak to your 18-year-old self, what sort of advice would you be giving?
I would have given him a kick up the arse to say, get started quicker. I didn't actually buy my first one until I was 20 in 2014. So that's when I officially started the business. I was involved, but it was just more of like a family apprenticeship almost. I was working in the family business before then. So yeah, it's just start something, I think I took too long to get started, and I worry, all right, I don't worry, but I think about if I had started earlier, where would I be now? So yeah, it's just to get started and take that first step, take action, because no one's going to come and hand you a business. You got to go and make it and get it.
Excellent. And we're only about 3 weeks now away from halfway through the year, which seems to have gone really quickly. So if we look at the remainder of 2023 and beyond, you know, what new or upcoming aspects of your business are you most excited about?
Continuing to grow our portfolio in Belfast. I'm actively looking to expand out of Belfast and into other areas, primarily the North Coast and Northwest and Derry. I think those areas, well, the North Coast, it's traditionally been a tourism destination for hundreds of years. Derry, I think, is almost like Belfast 10 years ago. It's starting to gather momentum, and you know, I'm excited for the results of, or the implementation of this Windsor framework, to see what that means for Belfast as a destination. You know, if we become this hub of commerce and things, there could be a lot more business setting up here, which is great for us because there's a lot more corporate guests coming in to come and stay. So I think the future for Belfast is incredibly bright.
So, David, I'm sure there'll be people that'll listen to this and be intrigued and want to find out a bit more. So if somebody wanted to reach out and get in touch, what would be the best way for them to go about doing that?
So I'm everywhere on social media. So best place to get me direct is on LinkedIn, but follow me on Instagram and TikTok as well. We've got 2 profiles there. One is Central Belfast Apartments, which is the guest facing. You'll see me drinking Guinness and showcasing the cool things to do in this city. And then the other is Airbnb Coach, where I provide a lot of value and content to show people who are just getting started in Airbnb how to do it the right way, how to set things up properly from the start.
Superb. Well, Dave Cordner from Central Belfast Apartments, thank you very much for your time. It's a fantastic story, and I completely concur with everything you say about Belfast as a destination. And yeah, absolutely, anything that any of us can do in order to promote that is superb. So big well done for all the work you do on that as well. And I wish you all the success for the remainder of 2023 and beyond for you, your family, and your business. Thanks very much, Dave.
Thank you.